Hello everyone, my name is Jessica. Welcome back to my kitchen, and this week I have a shepherd's pie recipe for you. Let's get started. So staying true to this month, I am utilizing the Instant Pot once again as part of this recipe to cook my potatoes. It is super fast, and it sure cuts down the time having a pot boil over on your stove every few minutes. So it was really convenient to start this and then get the rest of my shepherd's pie ready while it was cooking. So while I am getting the potatoes prepared, I just want to tell you some of the benefits of potatoes. Not only are they super cheap to get, they're fairly easy to grow, and they're just jam-packed full of vitamins and minerals and antioxidants. It actually helps you have a higher immunity in your body. They're incredibly filling and super versatile, and I will say that most of the nutrients are in fact in the skin. So if you like your mashed potatoes with the skin on, my family is not such a huge fan, especially with the kids, but in most of my other recipes, I will try to keep the skin on if I can. So in the Instant Pot, you want to use a cravat in the bottom. I think that's what that's called. And I've used about a cup of water, and then I'll place the potatoes inside the cravat and get them started. So I wanted to take some extra time today to give you a little bit more information about the other vegetables that I'm using in this shepherd's pie, because it is not your standard shepherd's pie where you throw in a couple cups of frozen vegetables, which is perfectly fine if that's what you have on hand and that's all you have time to do. I did have a little bit more time today to cut up some veggies, and honestly it only takes a few more minutes. So if you look in your fridge, see what you have available and use it. For this recipe I had kale and broccoli, orange peppers, red onion, and mushrooms, and it came together so well. I've done this many times before, so I've had this recipe tried, tested, and true. So let's talk a little bit about kale. So kale is an amazing dark leafy vegetable. It has vitamin A for eye and bone health, vitamin C and K, folate for brain development, omega-3s and minerals like phosphorus, potassium, and calcium. All of this combined is a great cancer preventing vegetable. And broccoli. This is a powerhouse vegetable for sure. It's really good for reducing inflammation, has tons of fiber and protein in it, contains iron, selenium, and magnesium, has vitamins A, C, E, K, and B vitamins, and it prevents against cancer and aids in blood sugar control. Let's talk a little bit about orange peppers. So these are high in vitamin C. They actually help improve your collagen production in your body, which is really cool. They're high in antioxidants as well, and they help reduce the development of cancer and heart disease. Mushrooms, I find that I use mushrooms more often than not, and if one day I may get into growing mushrooms myself just to save some money. Have to have the right environment for that, and we have to be able to create that environment within our house to grow it all year round, so that might be a little bit tricky. It may come down the road. So I used white button mushrooms in this recipe, and there are so many different types of mushrooms, and I kind of stick with white button mushrooms or cremini mushrooms. I have dipped into portobello mushrooms as well, but I know that there are so many more different types out there, and I would love to learn more about them and how to cook them better, probably when my kids get a little bit older. But these ones have a wide range of bioactive compounds, cancer-fighting properties, they improve your gut health, and they have a really high protein content. So one day when I make a vegan shepherd's pie, I will definitely be including mushrooms in that. So I also used onion in this recipe, but typically I use a yellow onion. This time I saw my red onions and they're not looking too happy in my pantry, so I figured I would use one of them in this. And when I looked at the benefits, I was like, oh, I'm really glad that I have those on hand. They are super nutrient dense and an excellent source of potassium, vitamins B9 and B6, and vitamin C. They are full of sulfur compounds that protect the body from ulcers and various cancers. They actually help fight bacteria in the body, specifically in the urinary tract. They are also full of antioxidants. They improve heart health and boost bone density in the body as well. So when I think about using different vegetables in my shepherd's pie, why not get as much bang for my buck as I possibly can? If I can dice these up really tiny, that's better for everyone in our family, especially with all the things that are going on in the world right now. If you've known me for any amount of time, you know that I love garlic. I have a really good friend who always tells a story about me feeding her raw garlic whenever she was sick to help fight it off, because it has an amazing immunity boosting properties, especially when it comes to cold and flu. It can reduce blood pressure in the body, helps improve cholesterol levels, which lowers the risk of heart disease. It has very potent medicinal properties. I will use garlic in virtually any recipe, and if I have it fresh, that's my favorite way to utilize it. So I am cooking double the amount of meat that you normally would for this recipe. I was making an extra batch of the shepherd's pie for a friend who just had a baby. So if you're wondering why there's so much meat, it's actually not all going into one batch. So I'm just going to go through and dice this up into really small pieces and cook it down, and then drain the fat off. I'm removing these potatoes and realizing that it's not the easiest thing to do, but nothing that a slotted spoon or some tongs can't fix. And I will say, I found through trial and error that whether you're cooking these potatoes on the stovetop or in the Instant Pot, either way, before you cook them, rinse them. And after you cook them, I rinse them as well. It really does help make the potatoes more fluffy. In the times that I haven't rinsed them after they were cooked, I found that the potatoes were very starchy. They were almost gummy, like a really dense texture. But if you rinse them, they just turn out really fluffy and delicious. And I'm using Earth Balance. It is a soy-free, vegan margarine option. And I really love this one. Our whole family does. Now, if you are not dairy-free, go ahead and make your mashed potatoes the way you normally would. I am using a cashew milk that I make at home. And again, because I doubled the recipe, I'm using a lot more milk and dairy-free margarine than you normally would. And I'll just use some simple seasonings on these potatoes. I have parsley flakes. If you have fresh, use fresh. If you have dried, use dried. And then I also have salt and pepper as well. I'll just pop the lid back on the Instant Pot to keep them warm until I'm ready to put them on top of the meat portion. So here I'm adding the red onions, and I will add some of the garlic to begin with. If you're not a huge fan of tasting garlic in your food, I would say add all the garlic at the beginning of the recipe that you're cooking. If you like to taste a little bit of garlic, add some at the beginning and then add some at the end as well. Either way, you're getting the beneficial properties of all the minerals and vitamins of the garlic. You just kind of gauge how much of it you want to taste. As you can see, I don't use a prepackaged shepherd's pie from a store. I like to make my own. That way I can kind of tone it down or spice up a little bit more depending on the day. And again, I've kind of seasoned my kids to be used to the seasonings that I like. And starting small is always a good way to go, especially with the amount of vegetables that are in this recipe. If you want to introduce some new vegetables to your kids, just start off in a small way and really dice them up, because all these vegetables have so many different textures, especially broccoli. I find that's a tough one, and specifically for my kids. So you can see that I've diced them up pretty small, and then I'm also going to cook them down really well in the pot right here and kind of get all these flavors going, and throw in some vegetable stock later and some water as well. I didn't use any oil in this recipe. I'm just water sauteing everything. If that is a concern of yours, or you just kind of want to lighten up your meals a little bit and not have the weight of oils, you can definitely do that in any recipe and in any pan. You just want to be frequent in adding more water as you go. And I'm just going to let this cook down until those veggies get nice and soft. And that water will slowly start to evaporate as well. If you want to thicken up the water content on this a little bit more, you can go ahead and add some cornstarch or some gluten-free flour, or just regular flour if you have no allergies or sensitivities there. And as it boils down, it is going to thicken up into more of a gravy type sauce for the shepherd's pie. I just want to thank you guys right now for being here, for watching these videos that I've been making, and I just so appreciate you, and I feel just really blessed to share some of my favorite recipes with you guys, and I hope you get to try them in your kitchen for yourself and your spouse and your own family. Please let me know if you enjoy them. That would be wonderful. If you like this video, please hit the like button down below. It really helps out my channel. And if you want to see more from me on Saturday mornings, you can subscribe to my channel as well. I'm just lightly packing down the mashed potatoes now on top of the meat mixture, and then I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of paprika over the top and throw some dairy-free grated cheese as well. These are all unnecessary steps. You don't have to top it with anything if you don't want to, or you could throw some regular dairy cheese on top as well, just to give it a little bit extra. Pop it in the oven, and once again, I'll leave the recipe written in the description box below for you. Oh, beautiful. Now I let this sit for about 10 minutes after I took it out of the oven, just to kind of let it cool down and really solidify it as well, so that I could serve it properly. And there it is in all its glory. And my mother-in-law, she said this is how it was made to be, mostly potatoes and a little bit of meat. I hope you guys have a great week. We'll see you again next time.